Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
He is former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura, also Hollywood movie star, Navy SEAL, and so much more. He's also a best-selling author, former TV host on MSNBC. And he was on with us about a month ago, and it made headlines in hundreds of newspapers, the Associated Press, and national television when he came on the show and questioned the official 9/11 story. And I was just talking to him before we went live, and he said he's, quote, got something he wants to complain about. So you'll find out what that is with me right now. Governor Ventura, thank you for coming on with us.
Hi, Alex. Great to be here again. I hope I could say that. No, I'm laughing because I guess when you do your show, you automatically make it on Bill O'Reilly's idiot list.
I think that's what happens, yes.
Now, I'm confused over that, Alex. How come we're not allowed to ask any questions today?
Well, this broadcast has about 2 million listeners per show, and then it's all magnified on the web, and they don't like the fact that there is a large alternative radio show with more than 60 affiliates, and that's #1 internet show. We have the most listeners.
Maybe it's something like that, because I can't believe how I simply ask some questions and the way you're attacked. For simply asking questions, has our country really become that you're not even allowed to publicly question the government? You know, I say this, Alex, because in looking back on my 56 years on the planet, the government's lied to me a great deal. And they don't have great credibility with me. So why wouldn't I question them when they tell me something?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, how many times have they been caught lying? And isn't it more suspicious? Methinks they protest too much. That they don't want us to ask about Building 7, the firefighters on tape saying the government blew it up. I mean, why aren't we supposed to talk about that?
I don't know. It you know, one of the most interesting interviews that I've seen now has been William Rodriguez.
Absolutely, he was.
I mean, when I watched the DVD of William Rodriguez, it's this guy is totally talking from what he remembers. You can clearly see it. He's not making anything up.
Well, he was there. The firefighters and police say that he stayed in to get a lot of them out when things were starting to collapse.
Oh, he's a hero's hero. There's no doubt about it. And when you hear him talk and he tells about what he knows there, how can you not question what went on that day?
Well, that was my first question. What do you think of the massive media attack that you have gone through for simply asking a question? They never address what you actually said on the show, and the majority of Americans in polls have the same questions. It's all that you're bad to ask those questions.
Well, it's been pretty eye-opening, to say the least, that, you know, if you do ask a question out there, it's like you're not allowed to today. And that's what really troubles me the most, is this attitude. Is it, Alex, the fact that, and here's what I truly believe, I think people have this hidden, almost screen around them in many ways, that because they don't want to believe that it could be true, they just put that screen up and won't allow anything to penetrate it, to the effect that it might be true.
You're right. It's a bubble of denial, their little imaginary world, and anything that conflicts with that, they say isn't allowed.
Yeah, it really is that way, and that to me is what has to come down, is the fact that you know, I like to refer a great deal to the movie that was just out with on John Adams, because it was very profound.
Governor, stay there. Tell us about that after this quick break.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Well, he needs no introduction. He's Jesse Ventura. He's going to be with us for most of this hour. We're very thankful for that. And I was going to get into his book being on the New York Times best-selling list. And I was going to get into his run for the Senate. Is he really going to do it? We know he's looking at that. When will we get a final answer? And we will cover that in the second half of the interview after the bottom of the hour. But out of the gates, he brought up 9/11. Now, I have to say, Governor Ventura, I have never seen anyone, and I said this on air, my whole staff said this, all the emails we got said it, I've never seen anyone trounce Sean Hannity like that, just from a position of strength, a position of knowledge, when he says, hey, we don't stage the news, we're not told what to say, and you said, oh, you really want to cover Anna Nicole Smith for 6 months, and he just looked like a cat that had been caught eating the canary. He looked totally guilty and turned red-faced and smiled like a Cheshire cat. I mean, it's asinine. It's come out that the Pentagon's planning propaganda. They have hundreds of people on the payroll claiming they're not, putting out disinfo about the war. We know there's propaganda in media. We know they have talking points. They have talking points to attack 9/11 truthers. But I have to tell you, you absolutely kicked Hannity's butt. I've never seen anything like it. He was speechless.
Well, you know, I'm going to give him his due. I actually found him on and off camera the day that I was there, kind of enjoyable. And I know that seems weird to say. It's because I think that with me, he took a slightly different posture than he did with most people.
Well, he knows that you could end up...
The thing is, they want me on later this month, but it won't be in studio. I fully expect them to be far more aggressive with me when I'm not there in person.
But it's not just that they weren't being aggressive. Everything he threw at you, you totally turned around on him. I mean, I've told my listeners that is now the textbook example of how to deal with these people.
Well, I deal with it the only way I know how, and that's kind of strap the ears back and full bore ahead.
Well,
you know,
I'm not just...
I'm that way about things, and, you know, and the truth of the matter was I worked in that business. I know what goes on because I fought it myself when I worked at MSNBC. Every day they would send me down the topics they wanted on the show after telling me that my show I could have complete control of. Well, there were topics that, yes, I remember distinctly. The one was the murder in California of the pregnant girl.
Yes.
And, I mean, that's important to California, but there's 10,000, 12,000 murders a year that take place. How is one more important than another in this country? And those are local stories that should be dealt with local media. They are not national stories, nor should they be made national stories. They're National Enquirer stories.
Well, we know what they do.
They do those strictly to get ratings.
I was about to say, and it fills up the news time with these issues that don't affect the power brokers. Meanwhile, there's no time to talk about how 3 more U.S. troops died today.
Yeah, exactly. They fill it up with this gaga baloney. And the bad part is we as a culture are accepting it, but hopefully the listeners that listen to you and the internet are very dangerous to that because it's becoming more and more powerful all the time, as we know. And rest assured, the internet will be the next thing the government will try to control.
By the way, Joe Lieberman has called for federal control over the internet. He wrote a letter to Google's head and said that they need to self-censor and that the government would give them a list of things that weren't allowed to be covered. Thank God Google said no, but they're talking about taxing the web, regulating it, making you have a IP address that's certified, making you thumb scan to get online. What's your view on that, Governor?
I think that's horrible. You know, to me, we better wake up, you know. Oh, guess what? I got a great story for you that'll tie right in. I just came across the Mexican border from Mexico to the U.S., right?
Yes, sir.
And this will tie into what you just talked about. All through Mexico, I was waved through every military stop. They have now down there what are called hassle-free zones, where U.S. citizens can drive and you won't be hassled by the federales or any of that stuff.
Who want their little bite, their morditas.
Well, but the point of the matter was I wasn't stopped until the U.S. border, and they stopped me. I crossed at Nogales by below Tucson. And when they stopped me, they recognized who I was. I drive an RV. They sent me over to the inspection area. and I was inspected, and he knew who I was. Guess what they confiscated from me?
What?
This is Homeland Security for you. My dog's dog food.
Keeping us safe from Al-Qaeda. Got to stop that dog food.
Now, here's the thing that troubled me. This was dog food. I have a very special dog, and I carry the dog food from Minnesota to Mexico and back, and I bring enough. And so the dog food was purchased in the United States. It just was taken out of its original wrapper.
Well, they had to have that authority over you.
My word, Alex.
Go ahead.
When I said that to them and said, but this is United States dog food, it didn't matter that I vouched for it. And the fact that only my dog would be eating it. It wasn't like I was bringing in, 30 cartons worth of Mexican